I'm calling to order the Frederick County Board of Elections. Welcome to all of you. Please stand and join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have a quorum with all members of the board present. In person, Shirley McDonald, Secretary, Nate Wilson, Vice President, Michael Sell, Board Member, and Ted Neves, I understand, is online with us. Hello, Ted. Hope you're doing well. And
hello all.
Thanks. Hi. We also have present Board Counsel Dan Loftus and Election Director Barbara Wagner and Deputy Director Anthony Gutierrez, and also County Council Liaison MC Keegan-Air. Welcome all. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
One addition, the addition of an election judge heritage report for early voting.
Okay, thank you. And on old business, Barbara, under old business?
Yes, please.
Are there any additions or changes to the minutes of the April 8 board meeting? If not, may I have a motion to accept them as presented?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Sallin, seconded by Mr. Wilson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Ted. County Council Liaison, any comments for us?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to let you know that the council held their public hearing on the budget on April 21st. We had all-day workshops on the 22nd and the 23rd. We started to work through the numerous amendments we had last night. We had 23 of them we had to deal with. And we will continue having discussion on additional amendments next Tuesday. So far, all of, or the one appeal that you had is the budget.
Any questions for Liaison? Thank you. And Board Council, Mr. Loftus?
Madam President, I don't really have any updates on those federal cases. But I just want to let you know that we do have 5 lawsuits filed against the Frederick County Board of Elections and against Barbara Wagner in her official capacity as election director. 3 of those 5 lawsuits also are suing the referendum committee. And the referendum committee has just retained a law firm in DC. And that's all I have to report.
Questions for council? Thank you, Mr. Loftus. Election Director report.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to go to my report. On April 29th, we had our final voter registration distribution training for the primary. We will pick that back up in August and September with more trainings. We also, I don't have it on here, but the Myersville municipal election will be held on May 11th. And we will be helping them with precinct registration and voter registration assistance. Voter registration, we have 208,314 active voters. And in the month of April, we had 907 additions to the registration system, 875 subtractions from the active status. We changed 409 party affiliations. We updated 715 address changes within jurisdiction, and we had 568 name changes. Currently, we have a total of 18 pending voters, that we are waiting on paperwork or verification. In the administration division, you'll be hearing from the deputy director presenting what the legislative updates will be and what the governor will be signing next week on May 13th at the bill signing. In voting systems division, they've been allocating and tagging polling place supplies. They're preparing for the voting equipment. They're preparing voting equipment and materials for the upcoming voting system logic and accuracy testing, which will hopefully take place next week. It will last about 8 days. That's working with the BMVs and the DS200s. They've completed signal testing at all the early voting sites, and they are finalizing delivery routes and schedules with the state board's transportation contractor for the primary election. In voter registration, it says completed March. Let's cross that out. It's meant to be April. So we completed all our April audits and our DHMH reports, as well as our fuzzy list and ERIC were completed in April. Staff are continuing to review and update their SOPs. Mail-in ballot Dropbox division, that is actually very active today. Dropboxes are being dropped as we speak, and cameras are being installed. I think we already have 2 up already, and we're going for our 3rd one, right, Brian?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. In the election judge division, they had a wonderful open house last week, a social just for the chief judges and the provisional judges. It was well attended. We had about 34 or so people come out. The chiefs got to know each other and talk and tell their war stories and do all that kind of stuff. So we found it very popular, and we're going to continue with that. They also completed, like I said, a voter registration distribution training that was well received and had a lot of participation. And as of 4/29, 727 judges have been trained. And this week we've been working on training the additional 315 judges that we have left to train. But we're still needing applications. We're still accepting applications. And if we have enough, we will add additional classes. We can never have enough election judge training, election judges, even if it is for a standby reason. We never know what's going to happen. So we are still accepting those applications. Let's see. They have been busy working on creating a parity report for early voting, which I'm going to talk to you in old business about. But the numbers as of 4/29, total number of election judge applications were 1,218. Of those, returning judges were 672. And the breakdown is Dems 638, Reps 343, unaffiliateds 227, and others 10. That is an increase in, the 1218 is an increase of 120 applications from last month. Okay. GIS and special projects, they have finalized the content updates for the Board of Elections, web pages and social media, so they have gone up and made sure everything says the 2026 election, and we're updated on our content. The ADA deadline has been extended till April 24th, 2027, but we are 100% compliant in content with the county, with our county website. The 2026 Congressional Legislative Council and polling place maps have been posted on the website. They are ADA compliant. The specimen ballot procurement has been awarded to KM Printing. Their first mailing will go out sometime mid-May. We just finalized the proof for that, so we're looking forward to that. Specimen ballots do not go to every voter. They only go to voters that do request a mail-in ballot. So anybody that is voting in person or plans to vote in person will receive a specimen ballot. And in building management, mandatory safety trainings are still being conducted. And there, additionally, which is not on your report, an election security task force meeting has been scheduled for May 13th, and it will be virtual. And we will have most of the directors in attendance from all over the county that help support elections during our time in need. So we're very happy about the attendance. And then in section 9 is just the state board procurements, what they're going with for 2026 and 2028 and 2030. You can read those at your leisure because that's a long list. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the director? Thank you. Sorry. Is there a question? No. Okay. Old business, Barbara, do you want to talk about parity report first?
So one of the questions that I believe was asked in the April board meeting, and I wasn't in attendance, but was the creation of an election judge parity report for early voting. We have found out that although it's not mandatory, we feel that it is necessary. People are asking for that, and we would like to deliver. So we have created a early voting staffing parity report for your review and for your approval. And if you approve of this report, we will have it on the website, by tomorrow. We'll have it on the website as soon as we can. But it breaks down every early voting site, all 5 early voting sites, by day. So we have 8 days of early voting. So every early voting site is broken down by day. It's a little complicated to do than the election day parity report because we have to, when folks come in to get trained, that's when they're asked, are you available for early voting? If so, what days? If so, what locations? So we kind of compile all that information, and then we have to wait for the chief judges classes to start, which don't start until April, and provisionals start in April. So in order to get a good list together, a first good chunk of people together, we pretty much have to train about half the election judges that we're going to train, and then we can start calling, compiling, and confirming. So that's what we've been doing for the past month. So that's the report that I am.
Are you asking for our approval? Because we haven't had a chance to
Well, I'm not
review
asking
it.
for it today. I'm just laying it out. I know that you guys you'll have time to,
Okay,
you can put it on any time.
okay, thanks.
I'm just bringing it to your attention.
Thank you very much.
Since we had already approved at the last meeting, the ability to, select judges and so forth, I don't know if it's necessary to do that.
Yes, we approved,
Yeah, so I don't
the
think
authorization
it's
for you
necessary.
to assign judges.
Yeah.
Yes.
However, I think at the last meeting, we also said we are not giving away our responsibility as a board that is statutorily required to approve and disapprove. And I think for transparency purposes, I think that is definitely a good document to have. And I appreciate and understand the extra work that's put into it, but I think that that's something that the voters should have. I know we talk about I asked for the 30-day notice, but because of the election that's impending and everything else, I think with the timeline, I'd like to make the motion today that we approve the work that's been done currently, and it's only going to be 1 more month, but I would make the motion that we approve posting that on the website as soon as possible.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Very well.
Thank you.
And Deputy Director Gutierrez is going to give an election legislative update.
Thank you. This information comes to us from the state board staff. It's an overview of, really it's not exhaustive, but these are the ones that they highlighted for our information and now for yours. Senate Bill 91, and some of these were cross-filed, so I'm only noting the original. It was a departmental bill from the State Board of Elections. It addresses the confidentiality program the state board administers and designates a staff member, and I believe provides funding for another position. And as the director mentioned, we understand that the governor is going to sign a large amount of election-related bills next week. So these are not law yet, but hopefully the governor will be signing them next week. State Board, Senate Bill 100, another departmental bill regarding early voting bus stops, does not take effect until the 2028 presidential. But if there's a regular bus stop within a half a mile from an early voting center, then that transit company is going to be required to, during that 8-day early voting period, add the early voting center as one of their stops. House Bill 115, automatic restoration of voting rights on release from incarceration. As the name of the bill says, it'll be automatically restored, but then again, that's another 2028 presidential law. House Bill 357, reporting requirements for municipal elections. The state board, if it's signed into law, will be required to post the municipal election information, such as dates of election, candidates, and results. Senate Bill 443 is a MAO, which is Maryland Association of Election Officials sponsored bill. Some of the boards were having trouble finding a board counsel that lives within the county, and so this adjusts the law to make it an attorney who lives in the state of Maryland. And a couple of those were on the Eastern Shore, but I understand that Howard County also, the last time they put out a proposal for a new counsel, they were somewhat limited to Howard County attorneys who wanted to apply. So this will allow boards more ability to recruit other parts of the state. House Bill 1001, local board employees' authority to keep peace in polling places. Right now, current law is that the 2 chief election judges by law have the authority to order the arrest of someone that's disruptive to the process. If the governor signs this, then the election director will now have that ability also. So she'll be able to have more control. For example, if there's a situation where the chiefs aren't able to get in contact with law enforcement, or there's something going on, she's able to now go out and exercise authority, again, provided the governor signs that. Senate Bill 141, election misinformation, disinformation, and deep fakes. It allows the state administrator now the ability to request the removal of any misinformation on social media platforms if it affects the time, place, and manner of the election. Senate Bill 29, plain language in petitions and ballot questions. Just as that title says, county attorneys will now be required to use plain language. There are federal guidelines regarding that they can follow, and it will not allow such things as double negatives, and it will also push the date for submitting local questions to the state board up. We anticipate that to go forward or closer by about a month. Again, we'll see if that is signed into law. And finally, Senate Bill 153, another departmental bill from the state board, is a campaign finance control of funds. It codifies that the assets that are donated to a campaign belong to the committee and not to the candidate.
Thank you. Questions for the Deputy Director? Thank you, Mr.
I have a
Gutierrez.
quick question for Anthony.
Yes.
Sorry. Are any of the laws that Governor Moore is anticipated to sign in effective for the primary in such a way that we have to adapt quickly, or?
There may be, I'll have to double check on that, Ted. I don't recall off the top of my head, but we'll get that information and get that out.
Thank you.
All right, on to new business. We have swearing in of 2 new staff members.
Can we amend that on the agenda to include the 5 Dropbox couriers as
And
well?
5 Dropbox, and the 5 Dropbox members team, the Dropbox team.
Right.
Yes. Please come forward. Should I read the names, Barbara?
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, the Dropbox team is Mark Wakefield, Jim Brown, Jennifer Coates, Melinda Verducci, and Brian Harris. And our two new staff employees are Andrew Dukes and Mary Walker. Congratulations, all of you. When I say state your name, please state your name, and after at the end, please say I do. I, state your name, do swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof. And that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Maryland election official according to the Constitution of the laws of the state.
I do.
Thank you, congratulations, and welcome. We look forward to working with you. Next on the agenda is a selection of precincts for supply verification. You want to explain
I
that?
can go get that, as a matter of fact.
Yes, thank
Would
you.
you grab that bucket? So, the process now that we're going to have the board do, we have put little slips of paper with each of the district precincts in the county, and they're gonna go into a tub, and we'll ask each board member to make selections. We need to select 7, and in addition, we're also gonna be asking them to come back at a later date and verify that the supplies, according to a checklist promulgated by the state board, have been inserted into the proper places and the forms that are required. Thank you, if you could just.
You mean to put it right there?
Yes, please. And that deadline to complete this entire process is May 27th. So this is the first step. It's a random drawing of 7 election day precincts. So however you want to divvy that up, please.
Pick that thing up.
So do we have 7 pulled?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 4.
Yep.
2, 4, 6. Okay. I think we have,
If you want this one or not.
yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if I could ask you, Madam Chair, to read those aloud, please.
Okay, 211 North Frederick Elementary. 7-4 Urbana Regional Library. 6-1 Wolfsville Elementary. 213 Waverly Elementary in the gym. And 2-1 Lincoln Elementary. 26-1 Walkersville Middle School. And 26-2 Walkersville High School.
Thank you very much.
Would you like these?
Thank you. I'll get that later.
Any disclosures to make this month?
No.
Okay. Scheduling of the next meeting will be on July 8th, because in June, on June the 3rd, will be the first day of mail-in ballot canvass. And the,
I'm sorry. The first day will be, the first day of pre-canvassing is actually Monday, June 1st.
okay, sorry. So we'll be doing MIB 1 on the 3rd, so we won't have a meeting that day.
We don't plan to schedule one, and I apologize for the confusion. So if you'd like, we should have Wednesday afternoon, the 3rd available, if you'd like to go ahead and schedule that. We plan to pre-canvass Monday the 1st,
Okay.
Tuesday the 2nd, and public notice will be made on all of these. So if you'd like, you could schedule to come back.
Then I think we should on June the 3rd.
July will be trickier because we'll be in canvassing at
Okay.
that point in time, so I would suggest June 3rd.
Okay, good, thank you. So the next meeting is scheduled for 2 o'clock here on Wednesday, June the 3rd at 2 o'clock. Is that acceptable to everyone?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is public comment, and before we start, I'd just like to remind everyone of the 3-minute rule. And also, last month, one of the requests came in at 4:07. I approved it. For Mr. Kaminsky, I think it was, he was not aware that somehow that it had been approved, so he was not here for comment, but it was approved. And this month, we had one at 4:06. So we're happy to accommodate you, even when those requests come in late, but we would appreciate for staff purposes that the requests come in a timely manner by 4 o'clock on the day before a meeting. And today we have for comment, Winston Mann.
Thank you. The Maryland Election Law Code, Section 10201, paragraph B requires, I have a copy of it for Dan, requires an equal number of election judges from the majority and principal minority party, which would be the Democrats and the Republicans. Additionally, it allows for unaffiliated voters to be judges, but the number of unaffiliated judges or otherwise registered as non-majority or minority judges may not exceed the number of majority or principal minority judges. I hope you're following with me here. But it's in the regulation in each precinct. The election day polling location, at least the one that I just saw, assignment and roll report lists 15 precincts where this law is currently being violated. That means that the lesser principal majority or minority party is exceeded in those precincts by either unaffiliated or other than Democrat or Republican. This leads me to question why volunteers who can't work all 15 hours are not allowed to work. And I brought this up at the last meeting as well. Now, my recollection is that this board had discussed this. My recollection is that it actually came from a suggestion from State Board, although I could be wrong about that. It was like a year or two ago. So I'm not clear on why that particular idea was dropped, because that would allow more of the two major parties to participate. Now, it's my understanding that decision would have to be made by the board, and my recollection is that decision was not made by the board, or at least the board would have to decide that it was going to make a decision one way or the other on that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I missed a few meetings, or maybe I totally blanked on it. But, so that's my concern. If you could take volunteers that can't work every day or all day, or move volunteers from other precincts who could to make you able to have the correct number of Republicans and Democrats in each precinct, then you would be in compliance with the law. Another note with regard to for volunteers that cannot work all 15 hours, that could be age, that could be job, that could be childcare. All of those things should be taken into consideration. There may be also some ADA issues there, I'm not sure.
Time.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna give this to Dan now.
I can take that.
Okay, I've got another law that I'd like Dan to take a look at that's highlighted along the same lines as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kelly Foster.
Thank you for allowing me to address the board this afternoon. At your last meeting, I requested the vacancy report for the early voting centers, and I'm very happy that you've agreed to put that out for us. In large counties that require over 1,000 election judges, like in Frederick County, to run an election day activities, it's certainly a large undertaking to achieve election judge parity. That is a given. However, achieving election law 10201, which has been mentioned before, for early voting should be a lot easier. The policy 2025 requires counties to provide a report in February, and thankfully you've agreed that it will be put out. I understand there's still time to adjust the assignments of election judges, but I'm very concerned that election law 10201 is not being followed. This law requires that the number of judges who do not belong to either the major party or the principal minority party should not exceed the lesser within a precinct. About 1/3 of the precincts do not adhere to election law 10201. The Maryland GOP sent a letter to Frederick County and every local board of election requesting there be chief judge parity in the upcoming election. Half of the chief judge assignments do not meet their parity expectations. How does this happen every year? Certainly some of the returning election judges are capable of becoming chief judges, which would alleviate this problem. In the fall, I requested, last fall, Frederick County to post in their election judge newsletter that chief judges are needed for the principal minority party, but my request was ignored. I'm also alarmed that Whittier Elementary School has no Republican election judges. What is your board doing to recruit underrepresented principal minority party election judges? Election law 10201.1 requires that the State Board of Election to have a marketing campaign to recruit election judges. Please consider going to the state and requesting help with recruitment. In conclusion, I ask that you provide the public with your plan to meet election law requirements.
Ms. Mary Lee?
Good afternoon, my name is Mary Lee. I'm the chair of the Democratic Party here in Frederick. I speak these comments on behalf of the Democratic Party. Voting rights and access has always been under attack, but never more so than the recent slashing of another protection within Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Couple that with the incessant MAGA-fueled bogus lies that the 2020 election was stolen and viral seeking moments that real evidence will be provided soon, but never is. Here locally, we hear each month about dirty voter rolls and other stats that cause grave concerns in how Maryland, Frederick County conducts their elections, and that everything needs to be handled in the way that they say, such as only using paper ballots but not mail-in ballots, and only counting when it's received that day. Otherwise, upcoming elections here won't be held with integrity, transparency, or be fair. We also heard one of the commenters say last month that 50% of the country believes the election was stolen in 2020. No, they don't. Not unless you think you're using alternative facts, as the phrase was coined by Kellyanne Conway. I'm very thankful that the Maryland General Assembly recently passed the Maryland Voting Rights Acts of 2026 in regards to the counties and municipal corporations, SB 255, which Governor Moore has signed. And I'm also very thankful that we have lawmakers who believe in preserving the right to vote. Maryland continues to lead the way, and we will once again with an already integrity-driven, safe and fair election. I do believe in all processes that allows we the people to seek answers, to hold our elected and appointed officials and staff accountable. But when the accountability being sought is rooted in falsehoods and accusations and is rehashed month after month, public comments can be a disservice. That said, I appreciate being given the opportunity to share my coherent and sound thoughts and wouldn't want to lose the chance to do that. So I can imagine those who spew alternative facts would be upset to lose theirs too. So I'll continue to be here each month to advocate for free and fair elections, as they already are, and to share my appreciation for each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Can I have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and go into a closed session in order to discuss a personnel issue?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry. And we're going into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, and any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. And we need to do this in closed session because we are going to be discussing council's contract, and the contents of that contract are confidential. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again.